evening, everybody. It's the Dead Time Radio Show. And I'm Billy. I'm here with my buddy Don. Hi, Don.
Hey.
And Mara's tugging on my arm because she's got her chew toy and she wants to play. Of course, right as we're getting ready to fucking record, she decides to bring her favorite toy in. So if I sound
look at me.
So if I sound like I'm jerking off, I'm not yet.
That's why we stopped the video.
That's when we stop the videos. Yeah. So today's episode is kind of cool. We talked last time about Bigfoot. And then I got interested in hearing about other things in the forests and the national parks and stuff. Of course, we also talked about like the disappearances of people in the national parks. So I did a little YouTube searching and found some eerie stories from park rangers and stuff about some of our national parks and the weird shit that goes on. So the first video we have is I didn't know that Haley Joel Osment had his own fucking YouTube channel.
Stop.
He looks like Haley Joel Osment. So maybe he sees dead people. He sees dead people.
It might be.
What Lurks Beneath is the name of the guy that does this channel. He definitely looks like that kid.
He does.
He does.
It's
It's
wicked.
weird.
It might be him.
Maybe. This one's called The Cults of Yellowstone. Park Ranger Horror Stories. Oh, the horror.
National parks in the world due to its vast wildlife, robust ecosystems, and ever-changing terrain, and a multitude of places to camp and enjoy the outdoors. However, Yellowstone holds a much darker secret that we're going to look into. Tonight, I present you with 6 different eyewitness stories submitted by previous and current park rangers of Yellowstone. Are their stories merely works of fiction, or is there truly a conspiracy to hide the darkness enshrouding this popular park? You decide.
You decide.
He has a cool voice.
In 1981, I was working as a Yellowstone park ranger. I was assigned to the Mammoth area of the park, which is located in northwest Wyoming. The area is very remote, and there are no roads leading into it. It's only accessible at the time by helicopter or horseback, so it's very hard to get help.
He adds sound effects to his stories.
I was working in that area for about 2 years when I began hearing stories from some of my coworkers about strange things going on at night around some of the backcountry campsites, specifically near Lake Village, which is located near Mammoth Hot Springs and west of Norris Geyser Basin, also known as the hottest geothermal basin in Yellowstone. One of my coworkers told me that he had been out on patrol one night and was riding through the backcountry when he came across a campsite where there were 2 people apparently looked like they were sleeping in their tent, and as he approached, the tent flapped open and a woman popped out and looked at him for a few seconds, then quickly ducking back into the tent. Now, he said she didn't say anything to him or make any noise.
Well, maybe she
just stared at him with wide...
Maybe she was giving the guy in the thing some loving, and then you just came and interrupted it.
But would you let the woman open the flap and look out?
Well, I mean, maybe she heard something. She was like, I heard something. Hold on.
Stop. No.
I'm just saying. Maybe that's what she was doing.
Oh, my God.
Blackened eyes.
She had black eyes.
And began muttering something in a language he had never heard. He said he was so freaked out by this because he's convinced that she wasn't entirely human, as he put it. He could not explain it and understood that it sounded ridiculous, but he said there was just something really off about the whole thing, and his insides were screaming in the pit of his gut that he needed to leave now. He even mentioned how there were these strange wooden hex-like trinkets, as he called them, hung up all around the makeshift campsite, and that the odor of rotting meat was so strong. She was not supposed to be out there, but he was so spooked by this experience, he had just decided to leave and head back to Lake Village as fast as he could.
So how do you get away? Like, if there was smell of rotting meat, that would mean there's something dead there.
Yeah.
Like, why would you leave?
Maybe she was eating a dead dude in his sleeping bag.
That's what I'm saying. So this is a tutorial on how to not get caught, or how somebody not just leave all the fucking witchy Blair Witch pieces of wood around your tent.
I have no idea.
And then no one's going to bother you.
It's a very interesting story, though. How much of it is real? That's what I want to know.
It's a story.
I mean, these guys get bored. They're walking around out in the fucking wilderness.
No,
all
I'm sure
goddamn
they
day.
see some shit. So this may
Oh,
have
I'm
been.
sure they do.
This is out in the remote area.
After
But
hearing
why
that
would an
story-
alien be in a tent?
I don't think it
If
was
you're
an
gonna-
alien. It was a demon lady.
So they're not like aliens where they can like
No, hence the
create
reason
something
this
with
is
their
the
mind.
cults of Yellowstone. So it's some kind of demon cult.
with rotting flesh.
I began taking a closer look at the area around the campsites in the backcountry, and even noticing several more of these strange wooden trinkets hanging up on the trees in some of these sites. Some of them looked like they were made out of tree bark and had strange symbolism
Those are
carved into
Viking
them.
runes.
I was gonna say
It
that's
kind of
runes.
reminded me of what you'd see in modern-day Blair Witch Project. I didn't know what these things were, but thought it was odd that people were hanging them up in the trees in the middle of nowhere. And on one night, a few of us heard some very loud and disturbing noises out in the woods near one of our campsites. It sounded like there was a group of people screaming and shouting and lots of commotion all at once. But then there were also sounds underneath it, like animals howling and more commotion. And I could tell that the horses were becoming frightened by this, so we grabbed our rifles and we all loaded up and left the area as fast as we could to go investigate. We would later come back to that site with a group of rangers and thoroughly investigate what had happened. We had found a large number of footprints near one of our camps where we had heard these noises, and we saw everything from various bare feet prints intermixed with animal prints. Upon closer inspection, the tracks appear to be canine in nature
There's a
and
cult
Did you hear
in,
that animal?
there's a
This
cult
could
in
only
here.
mean one thing.
That's a
Did you hear the animal?
it's a demon.
That's a demon!
That's just Mara.
Why a demon?
This is like maybe they were doing bestiality shit.
Oh, with the howling?
Yeah, maybe they were
What?
humping wolves,
Gross, man.
wolf humping.
I was thinking more like
Wolves. But this was
shapeshifters.
1981, so
But-
remember that wolves were not reintroduced into Yellowstone until the mid-1990s. Even more bizarre, these tracks were in sets of two, or
Werewolf.
bipedal.
Oh,
And they
bipedal.
also appeared to walk parallel with the bare human feet tracks that we found. None of us knew how to really explain what we found that night, and no other signs of anybody being there. I mean,
Is
there were
it
no
orgy
fire
with
pits,
Bigfoot?
no tents,
It
no
was a
nothing.
werewolf orgy.
We found more strange wooden trinkets that gave us this unsettling energy, as a few of us had put it. Now, going into 1982 is when we began to notice a substantial increase in bizarre, unexplained activity. I myself can only attribute this to occult activity and satanic rituals. There were other encounters.
You have to keep in mind, this is the 80s. This is when the satanic panic hit.
Right. It could have just been pagans out there
Where
doing
like
Beltane or something.
even heavy metal music was considered satanic,
Right.
and Dungeons and Dragons was satanic, and fucking anything that didn't have to do with the 700 Club was satanic.
Yeah.
So
Looks like Beltane to me. The
Who
picture.
knows?
reported by my various colleagues. More strange noises that could not be explained, more trinkets and occult symbolism found in the backcountry. Even possessed horses that would attack their riders, campers getting up in the middle of the night and vanishing without a trace. There was even a group of visitors during this time who were staying at Lake Village that reported waking up in the middle of the night to a strange, unearthly voice coming from near their tents. This was just some of what we were experiencing at the time. The voice appeared to be calling them out of their tents and attempting to lure campers deeper into the wilderness. What's most chilling about this is the voice was different to all the campers we spoke to at the time. I remember it. Some reported it sounding like a deceased relative, while others described the voice as familiar, but
well,
Will you follow a dead family member into the woods?
I was out in the woods in Maine one time, and I heard a voice whisper to me, "Get your goddamn house off my fucking land." And I told him, I said, "I don't have a house on your land. It's a fucking tent." "It's a goddamn house. You living in it, ain't ya?" "No. Get off my goddamn land or I'll kick your ass." I was like, it was done. It was scary. It was fucking
Were you
scary.
camping?
No. I just made that up.
Oh.
couldn't tell us much more about it. One particular event I remember happened to me and two other rangers when we went out during the spring of 1982. In the backcountry, we were going to check on a campsite where we had been having problems with before. We were traveling by horseback and came across one of the strange wooden trinkets hanging from a tree out in the middle of nowhere. As we were going through this area, we all of us, felt something strange, like we were being watched. I thought it was just my imagination until the others began to speak up.
I agree with
Goodness. Oh, goodness.
you. You were not being watched, Mara says.
Oh, my goodness.
She's talkative today.
She's been talkative like this for the past few fucking weeks.
Really?
What do you want? You want to be part of the show?
When we finally had arrived at the campsite, we found one of the missing campers tied up to a tree in the center of the site.
I like the
He appeared
tape
to be
hanging
alive,
off of the side of
but
his
he'd been
mouth.
severely beaten, naked, and was in a trance-like state, mumbling something in a foreign language that sounded ancient and had the look of someone who was possessed. We untied him from the tree, but he did not appear to speak English. So we brought him back to Lake Village with us, and after asking around, we found out his name was Kame, and he was from Russia.
Oh
He
my
told
God.
us
Wait,
that he didn't know.
His name was Kame? The fuck kind of name is that?
Russian.
I've never heard a Russian name where it was Kame. Wow.
how he had gotten there or
That's
what
your
happened
Russian
to him.
name.
In fact, he has no idea even coming into Yellowstone. He would later disappear from the area a few days
My middle name is Twice.
Hey,
later,
your last name is
and we never
Jewish.
saw or heard from him again. And I've thought about Kame often over the years and wonder if he was part of this bizarre activity that we were not only seeing, but experiencing. What was he doing out in the backcountry of Yellowstone, and what happened to him after that night? He was hardly ever reported missing, so I have no idea what became of him. But I often wonder that if we had not found him at that campsite, would he have wound up like some of the other campers who vanished? We obviously have no answer for that, but I would like to think. One of my coworkers was also attacked by one of his horses, who became possessed, as he described, and ended up in the hospital after he was thrown from it. He claims that while he was riding back to Lake Village, the horse's eyes turned black, and it began to head in the opposite direction than where he was trying to get it to go.
How do you know a horse's eye's black when it's already like all
They're all-
brown?
they're all
like
dark, yeah.
brown. How do you know? I guess you really got to know something about horses. There's a demon coming out of me.
It sounds like it.
After
You're possessed.
fighting with this apparently now possessed animal, he said his hand was jolted really hard and thrown off the horse, where it trampled him. He said that the reins would eventually wrap around him, and he was violently thrown onto the ground, and then galloped off toward the lake village at full speed after trampling him. And this was the same day he had come into a large clearing, and they had found these strange hex symbols, as he described.
And he didn't
carved
die
into the
from getting
ground,
trampled on
almost
by a
looking like they
horse?
were burned,
Doesn't sound like it.
and kept hearing this weird electrical buzzing on and off that reminded him of heavy machinery. Obviously, there was none because they're in the middle of the wilderness, but still incredibly eerie, and now that I look back on all of it, and the time, he actually broke several bones being thrown down and trampled
no
on, but
shit.
luckily, he survived. He even described how the horse's demeanor instantaneously changed.
Okay.
The horse...
Horses get spooked very easily.
Yeah. If
They
you
get
fart
totally
loud enough,
spooked.
they'll get spooked.
They get really spooked. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he was possessed. It just means he was spooked.
I love how the guy had to go, he broke a few bones. Well, that's going to happen if you
You're
get thrown
trampled.
from a fucking horse and trampled.
3,000-pound horse
What the
steps on you.
hell? This is a weird story, though.
He was fine.
They just found some dude named Cum out in the middle of fucking...
Came, past tense.
Oh, well. Out in the middle of the forest. And then all of a sudden the horse freaked out and he got thrown off. Did he get dragged to the next village?
I don't know. It said it was wrapped around, and then I don't.
Because he was talking about his reins getting
fluid.
wrapped around him, but he didn't mention
Later.
anything about getting dragged.
No, I don't know. It didn't seem fluid. This
Fucking-
story.
Poor Cum. He was tied to a
Past
tree or
tense.
something.
perished a few days later under mysterious circumstances. These are just a handful of things I can remember off the top of my head after serving there. These events would take place for years to come and intensify going into the later 80s.
I'm sorry, but if you had a situation like that, that is something you would never forget the details on.
No, not at all.
It's almost like if you were violently beaten up as a kid from bullies, you would remember the name of every single person that hit you.
Yes.
How it happened, where it happened, when it happened.
What they had on.
What
yes.
they had. Yes. So, I mean, this doesn't make any sense. I think the guy's making this shit up.
One of my good friends, who also worked alongside me, had actually dealt with these occult activities face to face. He passed in 2009 from cancer. God rest his soul. His stories were pretty terrifying. He told me of how he could see entities that were in the form of wolves and cloaked creatures, as he put it, just blazing ghost-like through the woods at night. He said,
Now, are those
Is
wolves
he on something?
skinwalkers?
The man had cancer. Maybe it was brain cancer.
Maybe. But are those skinwalkers? That's Yosemite.
Yeah, that would be
That's close to
shapeshifters.
Utah.
Yeah.
Or, lycanthropes, but that's just fucking weird.
I mean, those things do exist.
Yes, of course they do.
So the gentleman that could see them, you're not really sure if that was...
I mean, the thing that gets me is the little fucking orgy that they talked about they could hear, and then they go and they look and they see bipedal fucking dog prints.
wolf prints and
Yeah, what?
bare feet.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
It's just weird.
Was it them changing?
Maybe.
Not a orgy, someone changing. Because, you've seen the movies when they turn into a werewolf.
Yeah.
Sounds painful. So maybe that's what they heard.
But is it painful? I mean, they
I don't
never
know.
talk about how, skinwalkers scream when they change their shape or anything. I don't know. It's fucking
I
weird.
don't know.
everything would be illuminated as if there was a full moon out, and while they moved around and disappeared, it would go dark again. He would tell me that the dogs of the pack that he had would begin barking and howl angrily, like they were being commanded by one of these things, and one night, his own dog was trying to run in a different direction than he was following. Later on, he said his dog began looking closely at the tree line as if watching something intently and starting to act funny.
Dogs
his dog
are
had been
fucking
around
smart.
bears and mountain
They
lion,
can see what we don't
etc.,
see.
and
Yeah.
never acted this way before. I have so many more stories to share with you. As always, we'll be in touch.
Dogs are wicked smart. All right, so that was the first story. What do you think of that story? How much of that you really think is true?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. I mean, if that's out back in the deep, deep woods, I mean, that's where you'd go to do some nefarious shit.
Yeah, but if it's in the deep, deep woods, how the fuck did they get there in the first place if
rangers
they
have to-
didn't live there?
Park rangers have to walk all that.
No, I mean the cult people. There had to be like a place where they lived out in the middle of nowhere that the rangers didn't know about.
Not necessarily. It could just be hikers to pull in your pack. My husband used to backpack all the way deep in the woods like that. You just bring your stuff with you.
Well, obviously, you can't leave yourself.
Or make it. Like he was saying, the wooden deities. They could have just made it, brought their own twine and made whatever.
Weird.
I don't know.
Now, this story here that starts off, I have to laugh because, of course, something lives in Yellowstone. It's called animals.
Well, they're not going to give you any more information. They want you to click on it so they can tell you the
Something
story.
lives in Yellowstone. Yeah.
A lot of things live in
Bears,
Yellowstone.
wolves, deer, buffalo, your mom,
Squirrels,
squirrels,
rabbits.
chipmunks,
Chipmunks.
and rabbits, and mountain lions.
Oh, yeah, mountain lions. Oof.
Yeah, those things are gnarly. All right, let's see what this one has to say.
Okay.
I was a ranger in Yellowstone for about 18 years now. I had retired and moved to the Pacific Northwest in 2016, but I still visit Yellowstone often and remain friends with many of my former colleagues. This encounter happened during the fall of 2008 near Canyon Village on the north side of the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, right off the Grand Loop Road, Route 89. It was nighttime, around 8 p.m., when my wife noticed something unusual while driving our car down Highway 89, heading towards West Thumb Geyser Basin, also located near Canyon Village. The area between Roosevelt Arch and West Thumb Geyser is very remote at night, with only 2 gas stations for light along the Grand Loop Road, one at each end, approximately 10 miles apart from each other. In addition, there are also small clusters of campgrounds. Anyway, as we're driving through the north entrance gate into Yellowstone National Park, we both saw a beige-colored 4-legged animal running alongside our vehicle next to an empty trailer hitch on the back of a blue pickup in front of us. The animal was keeping pace with our vehicle and ran like a dog or a coyote, but it was much larger than either one. I would estimate that it was at least the size of a German Shepherd, at least.
That sounds like a wolf.
Yeah.
Wolves get big. People don't realize how big wolves can get.
Yeah. Well, they're talking about the direwolves in the Game of Thrones. Those are huge, but
Yeah, like if you get a good sized wolf, they can be. I'm 5'10". That fucker can get up past my hips.
yeah.
That's how tall they can get. They can get up to I want to say 3 or 4 feet at the shoulder if they're fucking really big.
Yeah.
But it had a long snout, more like a coyote, and its fur also looked different than either a dog or a coyote's. From
The
what we could
coyote
see in
is
the
a wolf.
darkness, the creature's fur appeared to be coarse,
coyote
like
is
that of
a
a
wolf.
wolf. The most unusual thing about this animal is that it appeared to be running on its hind legs only, sort of like how a human would run, interchanging between 4 and 2 legs. It didn't seem to be using its front legs at all, at least for part of the time. It would also change, and it was running at a loping gait, like wolves do when they run. Its front hind legs were longer than most quadrupeds would be, and we're both wondering why we had not seen this animal before, since it was so large and...
Okay, so the guy's saying that it was keeping pace with them. Well, then how fast were they going? 25 miles an hour?
I don't know.
30 miles an hour?
Either way, that's fast, dude.
I mean, yeah, of course it's fast, but the way the guy's telling the story, it sounds like we were doing 60 miles an hour and this motherfucker was keeping pace. Yeah, I'd be doing a lot faster than 60 if I had an animal that could keep pace with my vehicle.
We do travel to the area frequently. We never saw anything like it again after that night. Also, since I am an avid hunter of big game animals, I know what every animal in Yellowstone looks like, especially the 4-legged mammals and some birds. This creature wasn't any of those things. I don't know what this creature was, but whatever it may have been, my wife and I both agree that what we saw, a canine or wolf-like bipedal animal running alongside Highway 89 near Canyon Village during the fall of 2008. The fact that it could interchange between 4 legs and 2 legs at its own whim is impressive and terrifying. And I think what disturbs me most about the story is that whatever animal we saw that evening clearly was not a natural inhabitant of Yellowstone National Park.
How does he
Also,
know that, though?
My father
How does
shared
that
an-
ranger know that it's not a natural inhabitant?
He doesn't know that.
Just
He
because you go all through
There's-
there
it's not
doesn't
on the
mean you've
chart.
seen every inch of Yellowstone.
right.
Or
Oh,
Grand
we were saying
Canyon, or
wolves
anything.
And coyotes. Wolves are Canis lupus, and coyotes are Canis latrans. They're not the
They're
same.
cousins.
They're differences. Yeah, they're.
But they're cousins.
Well, it's not the same thing.
Identical cousins and fine.
interesting experience that coincides with what happened to me. He used to work as a park ranger in the early 1970s at Canyon Village in Yellowstone National Park. And one night, while working in the
They
night
should call them Canis latrinus because they're little shits.
Nice.
Fucking coyotes.
shift, he saw a very large bipedal animal cross the road in front of his patrol car that he simply could not identify. He
you say
described it as being
cross-throat?
similar to a human, but
think he
much
did.
larger and
Cross-throat?
covered in...
What the fuck is cross-throating?
Cross-throat in front of us.
I'm going to have to rewind that now.
Also, my father shared an interesting experience that coincides with what happened to me. He used to work as a park ranger in the early 1970s at Canyon Village in Yellowstone National Park. And one night, while working in the night shift, he saw a very large bipedal animal cross the road in front of his patrol car that he simply could not identify. He described it as being similar to a...
The fuck is a
Cross-throat.
cross-throat?
I don't know.
Anybody
Maybe
want
it's the
to
word.
send us
I
an
may
email
Google
and
it.
tell us
What's
what a
cross-throat?
cross-throat is? Anyway,
Maybe it's cross the road.
which reminds me, send us emails, send us letters, send us feedback.
Yes.
Tell us what you think.
Let us know
At
if you like the,
thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com.
if you like the new YouTubes.
Yeah, I like it.
Do you like us reading, or do you like us listening to other people do videos, or what do you want?
I like
us
it
to
because I get tired of reading and I can't see as well as I used to. I'm getting old.
do? Oh.
human, but much larger and covered in black, shiny fur. This occurred in the same general area where I had my encounter. My father retired several years ago and moved to Florida. For a time, he did live in Cody, Wyoming, near the Yellowstone National Park, and I've been thinking about sharing my experience with him and asking him if he remembers seeing anything similar during his time as a ranger. The other odd thing is the year 2008 was also a strange year for Bigfoot sightings all across Idaho, especially in places like West Idaho. There were also some unusual anomalies witnessed by my paranormal activist friends during the same time period. They say that it coincides with the 2008 crash. I don't know what to make of it.
What?
Whatever we saw...
The 2008
What?
crash? What, the fucking
the
financial
finances?
crash? What does that have to do with fucking Bigfoot and ghosts?
Maybe the strife energy out there? I don't know.
No. It makes no
You
sense.
just asked. That's just a theory. I don't know.
No, none of that makes any sense. Well, yeah, there's been a bigger sighting of Bigfoot and creatures in the woods because the fucking economy crashed. What?
that evening anyway? Was it any kind of known animal from Yellowstone National Park or anywhere else for that matter? That's all there is to it. Thanks for listening, and I think this animal belongs in its own category.
Yeah. The category of imagination.
And a world of pure imagination.
Oh my god. He cross-throated right across the street. Fucking cross-throat. What the hell is that? These people are weird. These are weird stories. I like these stories.
You do like the stories?
Yeah, they're
I'm
weird.
not really sure. I think the jury's out. I'm not really sure yet.
All right, story 3. This one is nearly mauled.
Like Maul, M-A-L-L?
M-A-U-L.
It was
Mauled.
1997, and I was working in the Yellowstone National Park in the Forest Service. It was my first season there, and I was really excited to be spending the summer in one of the most beautiful places on Earth. I was also very excited to be working in a place that was known for its history of sightings of the supernatural, because as you know, Yellowstone is a hotbed for all things strange and mysterious. As a child, I had always held a deep fascination for stories of ghosts and otherworldly creatures, and at one point or another...
That picture, I believe, was from Human Centipede.
Was it?
Yeah.
With the hands?
Yeah.
was really hoping I would get to see something paranormal during my time working in Yellowstone. So one night, I was on duty at the ranger station. It was a quiet night and there wasn't much to do. I was sitting at my desk, going through my paperwork when I heard a noise just outside. It sounded like something really heavy was moving around in the bushes. Curiosity got to me. I got up to go investigate, and as I approached the bushes...
And that's how all horror story
It
murders
does.
happen, is curiosity. Oh, what's that noise
in the
outside the
bushes.
house? I'm by myself in the middle of the woods. I think I'll go check it out.
We heard thumping last night, and I was like, what is that? He was like, I don't know, you want me to look at it? I was like, no, don't fucking look at it. The house is locked down. Don't go outside. Don't fucking... I don't want you to die.
Right?
Plus, we'd already watched, like, Ghost Brothers,
So
and
you
they were
got
fucking
scared.
haunted houses and
You
shit.
scared yourself.
No, there was a noise outside, but it was fucking 2 a.m, and there's nothing good that happens at 2 a.m.
Speak for yourself.
Not
I
when
could
someone
hear
trying
the
to break in
noises
your
getting
house.
louder and more distinctive, sounding like either someone or something was breathing very heavily, but this something or someone was so deep in their voice, it sounded like they were a heavy smoker. I began to get scared,
Grandma?
and I tried to stay calm to go see what was going on.
Is
And
that you?
suddenly, out of the bushes comes this large, furry thing that was much taller than me. It had a huge head and appeared to have these sharp teeth. I was terrified and I could not move. This thing just stood there and stared at me, and its eyes, almost having this dreamlike quality to them, glowing red. And then it
So it had dreamy red eyes, is what he's saying.
slowly began to move towards me. I quickly reacted, pulling up my firearm, and this thing seemed to look down and notice what I had done. And it's almost like it realized what I was doing because it very quickly changed its entire demeanor. It contorted its body in a strange way and almost crouched down and rolled sideways in a fast motion into the thicket beside me. At least, that's the best way I can make out what it did. And then I hear it running full speed off, crashing through the trees, letting out this horrible scream that I'd never heard before. It was terrible. And this is all that happened in the course of probably 10 seconds, but it felt
Wow,
so much
that
longer.
is a lot of fucking action in a 10-second period. But is there stories where you hear like howling from fucking skinwalkers?
I don't know.
Do they howl and scream?
I don't know. I'll have to watch your favorite person. Dragon. I'll have to go call
Yeah,
Dragon.
ask Dragon. He might know.
longer.
Fucking Dragon.
I was in shock and I didn't know what to do. On one end, I was terrified to even breathe, and on the other end, I knew who could I possibly tell. So I radioed for backup, and I told them that I simply had seen a bear and that it had tried to attack me. I was scared, and I couldn't believe what had just happened. I tried to rationalize it and
probably
tell
was a
myself
bear.
that it was just a bear, but I knew deep down that it was not. I knew that what I had seen was something much more evil.
Bears don't have red eyes.
Something that I could not explain. Even now, I
Okay,
still
but
can't
every
recall
animal
The
has
exactly.
like it could have been reflections from the light that made the eyes red. Some animals do have like red reflections.
Like the cats when it looks
Yeah, like-
shiny.
Because dogs have
Rainbows.
yellow reflective eyes.
Yeah.
Wolves have yellow reflective eyes.
What are red reflective?
I can't remember. I want to say I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I don't know either.
That would be fucking who knows, something you'd have to look up, because like some of them have green reflection, some have yellow, some have, I think there are some that do have red. I mean,
Interesting.
look at when you get pictures and you get red eye. We have red reflection in our eyes.
Maybe it was
If
a
you have
human.
like lighter colored eyes, I don't think brown eyed people get as red a reflection as like people like me with blue eyes.
Because it's letting more light in, or
Not sure.
How to describe the feelings it gave me. I still think about that night sometimes, and it terrifies me still. I'm not sure what I saw, but I know that it was something supernatural, something that I never want to see again. I actually did my best to forget about that experience for a long time, until I befriended a guy I worked with temporarily who claimed to know a lot about Bigfoot. I never entertained the idea, but we began talking one day, and I shared my experience with him in a very vulnerable state and explained in detail what this thing looked like. He's pretty certain I encountered a gugway. It was hideous looking and was enormous.
A gugway?
I was sure
What's a
I was going to
gugway?
be killed.
They just
That's
showed
when
a
he
picture of
explained
it.
to me that they are known to inhabit the area surrounding Yellowstone and that they are usually very reclusive. He said that they are known to be very aggressive if they feel threatened and will often attack humans and eat them. I was so happy to have survived, but it still haunts me to this day. Anyway, as someone who had worked in the forest industry in Yellowstone, I'd had my fair share of encounters with the supernatural. Anyway, and that one does stand out to me. I've seen other strange things like apparitions and shapes in the dark, but nothing compares to what happened that night. Anyway, let me know if you need anything. Thank you for all the hard work you do.
Gugway.
Oh.
Laura,
How's your head?
fucking nerd.
She's licking
Now I
the
have to
lotion
look.
off my
I gotta
legs.
see what a gugway is. Let's see if we can find what a gugway is. What is a gangway? Okay, so it's not a gugway. No, that's a gangplank. What the fuck? Gugway. I don't
It's a
know what
gugway.
the hell. I'm looking right now. You people can see this. I'm looking. I don't even know how to spell it. Gugway. I don't see anything, do you? Oh, I put gigway. Maybe that's why I couldn't find it.
Giggity, giggity.
Giggity, giggity.
Okay, so they have this broken down by the
Oh, here we
color
go.
of eye flashes.
The gugway is one of the North American Bigfoot.
Ooh,
The gugway is also called a bear man because it is the only hairy bipedal ape man with a snout. Gugways only eat meat and kill anything in their path. Gugways are one of the only Bigfoots that are aggressive to humans. Native Americans never say anything good about the gugway. The gugway is very rare and found areas on 7 Shoots and other parts of the USA. What the fuck is 7 Shoots?
7 choots.
7 Shoots? It's found in areas on 7 Shoots. That's an area. That's an actual, like, I guess,
7 choots.
probably Indian reservation or something. So they look like basically carnivorous big feet.
Ew,
Dude, that
So
thing
the-
looks gnarly.
that looks horrible. He looks vicious.
Yeah, he does. That would scare the living shit out of me.
So the red eyes, Bigfoots are listed in the red eyes. It's got vampire, alligator, seals, rodents, ringtail, porcupine,
Rodents, yes.
opossum, foxes,
Possums, yep.
black bears, a lot of the birds,
See, I was right. I said bears.
rabbits, yep, hares, foxes, and domestic cats have red or orange.
Yeah.
But yeah, and a vampire. Vampires in the red.
Well, of course.
But yeah, it says Bigfoot flashes red.
But they don't have to, like, have light reflected to have their red eyes, because their red eyes just glow.
Who?
Vampires.
Oh, okay.
Vampires.
Born and raised in North
So there's going to be an ad. There's the ad. But this is the bat creature of Yellowstone is the name of this one.
Oh, okay.
So as soon as I can get rid of this stupid fucking ad.
Bat creatures.
North Dakota, but have lived in Montana for the past 10 years now. I had been working as a park ranger in Yellowstone for the past 8 years at this point. In September of 1999, my partner and I were patrolling an area called Hayden Valley, along with a couple other rangers. We're all a part of the same unit. Hayden Valley is actually fairly central to most attractions within Yellowstone National Park, and we weren't doing anything out of the usual that night. We just drove around, looking for any signs of people who might be up to no good. It was
Cruising
about
for
11
yous.
p.m. when we began our drive through Hayden Valley, so it was pretty dark outside. We both had our high-powered flashlights, which illuminated about 50 feet ahead of us.
I don't think that Mara is a husky.
What is she?
I think she's a werewolf.
You do?
Yeah.
Ooh, you werewolves.
Look at her. She looks like a werewolf. With her fucking nasty werewolf teeth.
She looks like a husky to me.
Sharp ass teeth. And her evil fucking claws.
She looks like a husky to me.
Yeah.
That dorky looking face. I love it.
At the time, since there were no streetlights out here in rural areas like this. And suddenly, my partner next to me exclaims, "What is that?" And immediately turns to look in the direction was shining his flashlight. And then I see it. What we both saw, I'll describe it as best I can. It appeared to be this large winged creature that looked vaguely reptilian. It was hard to say how big it was because it was so far away, but it had to
what
have
she
been
said.
at least 10 feet from head to tail, and its wingspan appeared to be even larger. The creature, which we were in disbelief
like a
at
baby
seeing, by
bird.
the way, was gliding through the air slowly,
nest.
almost as if it was stalking prey. We watched it for a few seconds in shock before it suddenly took off flying at an incredible speed into the darkness.
Pterodactyl.
It was
We were
Batman.
shocked and disturbed, all silent for a few seconds, just
Batman.
trying to make sense of what we saw. And I asked everybody if they had seen what
Stay
I had
in your
seen.
car.
We all
I'm
corroborated
looking
our
for the
details
Joker.
that we saw the same thing. We all agreed that the best thing to do in this situation was to keep driving so that we did not stumble upon whatever that thing was in hopes that it was not hunting.
That was the
After driving
person's
through Hayden
nicely
Valley for about
definition
a
of, they were basically going, holy fuck, what was that? Get the fuck out of here. Keep driving, man.
Yep, that's the Mothman.
Another 15 minutes,
My bridge is
my
gonna
other
fall.
partner noticed something in his rearview mirror, which appeared to be these flickering lights on an extremely large vehicle. We stopped the car immediately, and I turned around in my seat, looking out the back window. However, all we could see was a sea of pitch black behind us.
Why would you stop?
With no sign or sound of any other vehicles being present
you
on
stop?
the road at this hour.
That's
you better
the,
fucking keep driving.
that's the other 10% of how most horror movie murders
Stop
are.
and get out of the car.
Stopping and getting out and checking shit
keep
out.
driving.
That's right. You just
wrong
keep
with these
fucking
people?
going. You don't
Keep
stop.
driving, man.
What are you, stupid? Although, I don't know, I'd probably stop. Because I'd be curious. What the fuck was
Keep
that?
driving. If I'm
And
in
you'd
the
be
car,
like,
I'm fucking
"No!
screaming, keep driving.
God damn it! Don't get out of the car,
We go to
baby."
Haunt Atlanta. You better fucking keep driving if we're on the road and there's something flashing in the
You gotta keep
lights.
driving in Atlanta anyway. That's a scary place.
True. I know. That's truth.
My partner then told me it's right behind us, and as anxiety began raising rapidly, after seeing that winged thing earlier, the anxiety never went down, but suddenly it appears that whatever was following us, which there was definitely something following us, had disappeared into thin air. We all get out of the car, flashlights in hand, looking around for anything.
Maybe it
but
didn't
saw
disappear.
nothing.
Maybe it just
And the
increased
feelings of being
altitude
followed and watched
flew away.
persisted.
Oh.
Now, a few weeks after this
It's over
incident,
your car.
after we all had agreed
Yeah.
to keep quiet and
just
to
flying
not
over
tell
your car so you
anybody
don't see it anymore.
for fear of
Like a
complete
drone.
ridicule,
God!
I
hate that
actually
story.
told one of my good friends about what had
That was
happened,
terrifying.
and he's also worked in the Forest Service. He told me that he had actually seen the same thing I had seen, flying overhead while hiking with his girlfriend just a few months prior. His description of it was like a giant bat with long, sharp claws.
And a dick this
needless
long.
to say, I was not surprised to hear that somebody else had seen the same thing because Hayden Valley, after all, is very large, and there have been numerous sightings of unidentified
Isn't that where the ranch dressing is made?
No, it's Hayden Valley. This is Hidden Valley.
No,
is where
Hidden
the
Valley Ranch.
Hayden.
It sounds like he's saying hidden.
It's Hayden Valley.
Maybe the bat just likes ranch dressing. And he's hanging out in Hidden Valley because he can get all the ranch dressing he wants right off the ranch dressing trees.
Wouldn't that be fantastic if there was a ranch dressing tree?
You just tap a tree just like you do for
sap for maple syrup.
You got a ranch dressing tree. I don't like ranch dressing.
Flying objects in and around Yellowstone National Park. After all, UFOs do make up a history of a lot of national parks anyway. To be frank with you, I have no idea what that creature was that my partners and I saw flying through Hidden Valley on that September night 10 years ago. But whatever it was,
it
was
like
definitely not
Hayden
anything
Valley.
I'd ever seen before.
He said hidden.
Okay. And trust me, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in my 8 years of working. My best guess is that it was some kind of unknown species of large bat. But whatever it was definitely one of the most bizarre and unexplainable things I've ever witnessed.
Now, he said it was a big bat, but did he really say how tall, like how big the bat was? Was it like man-sized?
I don't know.
I don't think he did. I think he just said it was a big
bigger
bat.
Than your hand is
Haven't
huge.
you seen those big fruit bats that are down in Central America?
Kingdom.
They're fucking gigantic.
They have them in Animal Kingdom, yeah.
Maybe that's what they saw. Maybe it was a bat that flew all the way up from Central America, fucking jumped the border because,
Why would he do that? There's a wall.
He's an illegal alien. He fucking jumped the border and came up to fucking Yellowstone.
You think that's what it was?
Maybe. What are they? I'm just looking for apples.
You might sound like Speedy Gonzalez right now.
As I'm writing this, it is currently December of 2009. I hope all who read this post have a wonderful new year and that their 2010 is as eventful as ever.
The strange occult activity.
I've been working here in Yellowstone for about 5 years now, and I absolutely love it.
Okay, I like these stories. I really do. I mean, they're weird, and some of them don't make any sense whatsoever, but I like them because they're creepy.
The scenery is breathtaking, the wildlife incredible, and the people are generally pretty friendly. But there is one thing that I have not told anybody about my job.
What, Yellowstone?
The occult activity
yeah, me too.
that goes on in the park.
I want to go to
I'm not
Yellowstone.
sure if it's because Yellowstone is built on top of what I believe to be an active volcano
Yogi.
or
Yogi
what,
Bear,
but
yeah.
there seems to be a higher
like an
concentration
eye of
of demonic activity here than anywhere else I've ever been. And trust me, I've seen some stuff in my line of work. In fact, one of the more memorable experiences I had was when I was called out to investigate a disturbance near one of the thermal springs. When I got up there...
That looks like a butthole. That's a hot, wet butthole.
That's a huge hemorrhoid.
Good God.
That one hurts.
Yeah.
I found a group of people surrounding a large metal cylinder. It was roughly 6 feet tall and 3 feet in diameter and was glowing with this eerie green light. I understand this sounds like something from a B-Sides X-Files episode, but it's what I have to tell you. The people around it were chanting and waving their arms around like crazy, most of them completely naked, and I immediately knew that this was some kind of satanic ritual.
No, it's not.
I stepped in to try to stop it, and as I did, they turned feral on me. They were screaming and cursing, trying to jump on me and bite me and attack me. In fact, one of them even actually almost did. And fortunately, I was able to subdue this individual fairly easily, and calling for backup, I had assistance within minutes, and there were several of us on the scene able to handle the situation. It appeared that all of them were on a high dosage of LSD and were in the middle of having some sort of...
So it wasn't pagans or Satanists, it was hippies.
Sounds like naked
hippies on acid trips.
Yep. The picture they showed looked like
I'm
Beltane.
not sure. The cylinder was
nude,
also
that's
taken
Beltane.
in and apparently analyzed, but I was told that the military actually took over on that one. So
maybe it
I don't
was
know
part of the
anything about
LSD
cylinder,
tests
what it
they
was,
still
or
do.
why
Yeah.
it was glowing,
Yeah,
or
you're
what
right.
it was used for. But it appears that perhaps it could have been demonic in origin. That's just my speculation, of course, going by what I had experienced. And I can only imagine what would have happened if we had not stepped in. I don't know, and I don't want to know. I remember that we had some immediate personnel changes during that investigation. Within days, some of our staff just disappeared and we had new people. We were told not to question any changes and just do our job. Now I've seen other things.
Now, that sounds 100% like government conspiracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That people just
Do your
quit.
job.
They just leave the job. That they disappear. One day they're there, the next day they're not, and there's new people in place of them. So it sounds to me like this guy came across probably some type of government experiment and fucked it up by arresting these people.
Yeah.
And the government was like, fuck, now we got to get a whole new people because he's going to start asking questions and these people have answers and I don't know if they're going to be good enough to keep their mouths shut. That's totally what that sounds like.
Too, things that I can't even begin to describe. But one thing that I do know is that Yellowstone is a hotbed for occult activity, and it's only getting worse. I don't claim to know what the future holds, but I do know that we need to be vigilant. We need to be on the lookout for anything and everything that seems out of place, because if we're not, who knows what might happen next.
This is Webflow.
Wow.
Meet the design tool from the future. The most
I
powerful
totally
visual
believe that the government would get their filthy fucking paws into something like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just stupid shit. Because that's government land.
Wouldn't there have to be someone there running the test?
I'm sure there probably was. But, I mean, technically, that's government land. It's a public park
Right.
that the government took over
Right.
to, quote-unquote, preserve. The only person that actually wanted to preserve it was Abraham Lincoln. Because he's the one that actually, 1864, he's the one that put out the thing about preserving Yellowstone. But that screams government operation to me.
Yeah.
Just the way it sounds. And yeah, I know I sound like a conspiracy weirdo, but you know what? I'm starting to believe a lot more about that shit nowadays with the way this fucking government's acting now. It's just weird. Animal mutilation. Cults are supernatural.
For the last 10
Aliens.
years,
Aliens.
I've seen countless grizzly and
Mongolians.
black bears,
Mongolians.
wolves, bison, mountain
Damn
lions,
Mongolians.
elk, and other wildlife in my career at Yellowstone.
wall.
In fact, this week alone, I had the chance to see 2 different grizzlies up close, about 30 feet away, while hiking a trail with some friends of mine.
Have you ever seen a bear in real life?
I did. We were in
Like
Gatlinburg.
In natural habitat?
Yeah, we were flying over it though. We were on the sky thing, and you look down, and it was the mom and the babies.
I saw one in Alaska. Not a grizzly. I didn't get to see a grizzly. But I saw a black bear
Ooh,
that was climbing a tree.
cool.
It was really cool, and it was like the coolest little thing. We were on a boat to go over to Columbia Glacier, and you go through this channel where it's both sides. You can see like woods and shit, and the whole time we're riding the boat, there's these sea otters that are following us, like
Oh,
little
cute.
family, and they're laying on their back eating their crab
Cute.
on their belly. They were fucking cute. Then you look over and you see like fucking bald eagles everywhere, and these big old black bears. There was a big old black bear climbing a tree. It was the coolest thing ever.
Wow.
Because, of course, you see them at the zoo. It's not the same. When you
Yeah.
see them in their natural habitat, it's really cool.
Yeah.
While also working here as rangers or interpretive staff, basically tour guides. They were both within Hayden Valley, but that's not necessarily important right now because what happened to me on Friday night was much more chilling than any bear sighting could ever be. I decided to stay late on Friday and clean up my patrol truck before it got too late to go into Canyon Village. This is where I work my patrol shifts and about once every 2 weeks throughout all 4 seasons. Anyway, so there's just this one spot along Dunraven Pass Road, which is located north of Canyon Village, where strange occurrences happen. For example, I was out with my partner when we came across what appeared to be a mutilated deer carcass, and there were weird symbols carved into the ground around it.
What?
And the deer's body had been cut open in a strange way. We had reported it to our supervisor, and they told us to keep an eye out for anything suspicious. After all, this was clearly the work of a person.
Right, because symbols around a dead carcass isn't fucking suspicious enough. Wow. Keep an eye out for anything suspicious.
Yeah, that's not suspicious enough. Hayden Valley is Hayden.
A few weeks later, we were on patrol near the same spot on the pass.
Yeah, but
and
he was saying Hidden Valley.
No, but he just said it again. It sounded like Hayden.
saw a group of about 20 people acting suspiciously.
Maybe he wants ranch
They had
dressing.
these weird glow stick
does.
jewelry that they were hanging around their necks, arms, and legs, and they
Chicken
looked
wings.
like some sort of cult or
Ranch
something.
dressing.
Wait, he just said
We
glow
decided to
stick
park-
jewelry.
and
All
saw
around
a
their
group
arms
of
and legs. Sounds like
carcass.
ecstasy to
And there
me.
were weird symbols carved into the ground around it, and the deer's body had been cut open in a strange way. We had reported it to our supervisor, and they told us to keep an eye out for anything suspicious. After all, this was clearly the work of a person. A few weeks later, we were on patrol near the same spot on the pass and saw a group of about 20 people acting suspiciously. They had these weird glow stick jewelry that they were hanging around their necks.
So those were EDC rejects. They got done with EDC and decided they were going to go to Yellowstone because they're still fucking tripping on Molly.
So they can do the...
Give me a break.
Arms and legs, and they looked like some sort of cult or something. We decided to park our truck down the road from them, off in the woods where we could see them, but they could not see where we were. We were trying to keep ourselves out of view, and we watched for about 20 minutes as what I can only describe was a ceremony that took place right outside of Canyon Village. There was chanting going on, and they were carving these bizarre symbols with chalk on the ground, and all these people standing around doing strange things. I've never seen anything like this before or since until last night in September of 2014. And this is why I'm telling my story now, because what happened then scared me more than a grizzly bear ever could. So Friday night, after work, around 9 p.m., I go back out there on Dunraven Pass Road.
And I could hear shitty music blaring in the background. And then the bass dropped. And all I saw was glow sticks.
Where we initially found the mutilated deer carcass. This time there was another one. It was a bison. It appeared to have been decapitated, and the organs and meat had been ripped away from the body.
Dude, how the
fuck? There were more symbols carved into...
How the fuck? Bison are not small.
No, and they're strong.
Fuck yeah, they're
They will
strong.
charge you. You've seen those two kids that climbed over and were trying to get a picture with
Somebody
the bison?
must have shot them first before they fucking chopped the head off. Because there's no way you're going to be able to just... This isn't motherfucking Neanderthal time.
No.
And if it's EDC kids, they're like
They're so
lanky
not
little
gonna,
shitbirds.
I was going to say, they don't eat.
To the ground. We reported that to our supervisor, and they told us to increase our patrols in that area, but it didn't seem to stop anything. Things only would get stranger, because a few days later, while on patrol near Roosevelt Tower, we found an abandoned vehicle. It was a van and had been spray painted with all sorts of satanic symbols. And there was also a dead deer inside of it. The van had been completely gutted.
I have to take issue with one thing. Anytime there's a symbol, it's automatically satanic. It's like, if you don't know what the symbol is, it's got to be satanic. But
that one picture was runes.
Yeah. It gets annoying because it's like, even if you...
This uneducation is what it is.
Yeah. It's just dumb.
And inside was a dead deer with its body too cut open and gutted. We called our supervisor and they told us to confiscate it and go back to the village, reporting it there. So we did that, and they told us to spend the rest of our shift patrolling in different areas of the park. I'm not going to say where because I don't want people out camping looking for these things. But the next night, I was back on patrol near Canyon Village.
You know how to dress a deer?
Now this time, something strange happened.
No.
It was now around 10 p.m., and this group of about 5 or 6 people came walking up from behind me, carrying those same strange glow sticks around their necks and arms and legs, and I watched as they gathered together beside one of the roadsides, right along one of the pull-offs, and they were all standing over by this one spot about 30 feet away from where I was parked. I had no idea if they could see me, but they did not seem to care, and I watched as all 5 or 6 of them took turns peering into this small hole in the ground as if they were trying to either put something in it or pull something out of it. And then all of
It was a glory hole.
a sudden,
They were so
all
high, they were
acted
looking into a
completely
hole.
spooked
Like, what?
and took off sprinting into the woods. Listen,
Yeah.
I understand the stories and what I'm telling you is strange. It just seems like there's some kind of satanic cult that is targeting animals purposefully, and I'm scared they might come after people next. If you guys enjoyed this episode of Park Ranger Stories, be sure to go ahead and slap that like button.
So
Leave
he
a comment
keeps
down
saying
below.
they're gutted,
Was this
they're
video full
gutted.
of crap?
If you,
Was it
okay, when
terrible?
you dress
Did
a
you
deer,
enjoy it? What other forms
to
of...
keep the meat from spoiling, you take all the innards out. You don't want fecal matter or blood or whatever to get into the meat if you're going to eat it.
But I don't
So
think they were going to eat it. I think they
But
were
he said
mutilating
gutted,
him.
which means they took the innards out.
Well, they probably
which is what
used
you
those
do.
in a ritual. I don't think it was anything to do with eating. I think it was just they were doing some type of stupid ritual. Which,
Right, I hear what you're saying, but like in reality, if you
oh, I agree. Yeah,
do a
that's
deer,
what you
it's
do.
the first thing you do.
But you also use those innards and you eat the innards too. A lot of people do, at least.
Satanic people.
Well, who knows what they do? Anyway, those were some pretty cool stories.
Wow.
I liked them. Yeah, so it's already a fucking hour.
Wow.
Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed the show. Give us an email at thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Or you can check us out on our website, thedeadtimeradioshow.com. And we will see you next time.